Bob Lankert is with us this morning. He's brought a couple of gentlemen with him as well, the Evergreen Conservancy. Robert, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us again. And what an exciting program this is. This is something that has a lot of interest around Indiana County now, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. We're talking about coyotes and the fact that they are here in Indiana County and all around us. And we're going to learn all about them. When is the program that we're talking about?
Well, it's going to be this Friday evening, starting at 7 o'clock at Blue Spruce Lodge.
Mm-hmm. And anybody can come?
Anybody can come.
Yeah.
Particularly the young people.
Don't have to call ahead either?
No.
They just show up. So who have you brought with you this morning?
Patrick Nichols from the Game Commission.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you with us here today. And you're actually going to lead the program.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Let's put you over on this mic. It's a little stronger. It's a little stronger over there, and that way we'll be able to hear you a little bit better. So the program is on coyotes. It is tomorrow at Blue Spruce, and we're talking about
next Friday.
Next Friday. Okay,
Yeah.
You said Friday. Okay, next Friday. All right. So let's reset then and talk about coyotes in Pennsylvania and around this area. I saw one on my way back from a football game last fall. It was out on South 6th Street. Just where at the 422 ramp, there was one there. And that's the first one I've ever seen around here. I see them out at our place in Smicksburg, but they're everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. They're everywhere across Pennsylvania. They've reintroduced themselves over the last few decades. It's not uncommon to see them in suburban areas, neighborhoods, even in town. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So when people are thinking that's just a big dog, help us to recognize what are we going to look for to identify a coyote?
Well, generally speaking, sometimes it's very tough to tell the difference between a coyote and a dog. But I would basically make the differences based on their actions. Whereas most dogs are going to be curious, most dogs are not going to run from you, or you can call to them and they'll stop what they're doing and at least look at you. Coyotes, generally speaking, much more afraid of you, much more nervous, much more apprehensive. And when they see someone or if they feel something's not right, they take off right away. There are some general differences in regards to looks. Coyotes generally have a little bit longer hair. They usually have a black tip on their tail, but these are generalizations. It's not something you can always count on.
Yeah. Is their body a little bit lengthier than a typical dog of their size?
It would depend on the breed of the dog, quite frankly.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned we see them here in urban areas. They're even seeing them in Pittsburgh now.
Absolutely.
And I recall that there was a coyote incident in Los Angeles a year or so ago, and right there in the middle of all that concrete.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, studies have been done. There's a fairly well-known study that was done in Chicago, Illinois, where radio trackers were put on some of these coyotes, and they literally lived in the downtown Chicago area. They would sleep under dumpsters and in back lots during the day, and they would go out at night and live on things such as rats, loose and stray house cats, things of that sort. They're very, very adaptable creatures.
Yeah, and they're pack creatures, aren't they?
Generally, yes. I don't see so much in the line of large packs in Pennsylvania, but I mean they certainly hang together in family groups.
Mm-hmm. What are the dangers of coyotes in an area where there are people?
Well, it would be for the most part the dangers would be the same as any wildlife, any wild animal. Coyotes can get rabies, for example. So I mean, if one seems overly friendly or overly aggressive, obviously you want to avoid it. If they're not afraid of you, there's probably something wrong with it. It's probably either sick or injured, because otherwise it would want to get away from you.
Yeah.
Also, especially people who let their animals out at night or even during the day, if they have small dogs, particularly small dogs, house cats, things like that roam loose. Coyotes are opportunists, so if the opportunity presents itself, the coyote just looks at that as another meal.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting that you say that, because, cats generally, they want to avoid any contact with something that they aren't familiar with. A dog, no matter what size, is going to act aggressively and defensively, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Most dogs will pick a fight with a coyote, whereas most cats will tend to run or hide or climb a tree, something of that sort.
Yeah. So at the program at Blue Spruce, which is next Friday, and the date of that is going to be the 12th at Blue Spruce, what are some of the things that people are going to learn about?
Well, I'm going to talk about coyote habitat, coyote biology, things of that sort. We're going to talk about trends in population size here in Pennsylvania, and also harvest sizes and how people have actually taken the coyote, and a lot of hunters and a lot of trappers have really come to the point where they target these animals. We actually have quite a few people that participate in coyote hunting and coyote trapping across the state now.
Mm-hmm. We should mention that there's a third person that came into the studio with you. Jeff Himes is here. He's a special assistant on this particular project. Jeff, come on up and let's meet you as well, and talk to you a bit about coyotes and what they're doing and what you're doing in association with them.
Well, I'm an AmeriCorps volunteer. Mm-hmm. I've only been here for 3 weeks, and I've been working with the Evergreen Conservancy in the area of the Geo Trail, and particularly the geocaches.
Okay.
That's one thing that I've been learning about in preparation for something that we're going to build, a story map.
Oh, okay.
County.
That sounds like an interesting thing. Bob, you can weigh in on this as well. For folks who don't know, what is a geocache?
A geocache.
What is a geotrail?
Well, a geocache is a box that has been placed by someone for someone else to find. Mm-hmm. So it's a hide and seek game.
Yeah.
And this is worldwide. There's probably 3 million of these geocaches. The Evergreen Conservancy has put out 20. And it's a way for local residents or visitors to learn more about the county and to get out in nature and explore. So you can go to geocache.com, set up an account very easily, mm-hmm. and you also can go to the Evergreen Conservancy website to find the locations, and you can go out and find these within the boxes. There are a description of what you're looking at and things that you can learn. There's a logbook to sign. And then there's a password that you put into your passport. Once you've gone to all 20 sites, you can redeem that passport for a geocoin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and you're right. It's a great way to learn about what's going on around Indiana County.
Oh, absolutely. And I can give you the locations where people can get the passports to start.
Do
you can get those at the Indiana County Tourist Bureau, the Free Library here in town, Blairsville Community Development Authority, Blue Spruce Park Office, the Solar and Smithsburg Geocache Site, and Yellow Creek State Park Office.
All of those places.
That'll get you started.
Sounds fun. Sounds like a lot of fun. Mr. Lankard, let's talk with you a little bit about what's going on with Evergreen Conservancy. You guys always have something going on.
Well, I'm going to spear point the people who hike and bike on the Hoodlebug Trail. Mm-hmm. One of the things that the Evergreen Conservancy decided to do was a community service of picking up trash on the Hoodlebug Trail. And make a note on your calendar on May the 11th. That's a Saturday, 9 o'clock. We meet at the ballpark at Homer City, and then we pick up trash on the trail, and mostly along 119 down to Blacklick. And all you need to do is bring gloves and dress accordingly, and we'd appreciate your help.
Yeah, well, and you're going to find some in that area. That's one of the things about the Hoodlebug Trail. It has different characters. I mean, when you start over here by Hosses on this end of it, it's so much back into the woods and through that wonderful course that it travels through Homer City. But then when you get on the other side of Homer City and you go between Homer City and Blairsville, you're right there along the highway. So
Exactly.
you're going to find plenty of trash that you can help pick up.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. All right. So that's one thing that the Conservancy is doing. Are there others? I'm sure there are other plans for the spring.
Well, yes, we have a number of scout groups are coming out to learn different things. It's a nature center, and identifying plants and trees is an important part of the lessons that we teach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the Tonoma Wetlands is always something we ask you about.
That's our learning center.
That's the learning center.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just an amazing success story.
It is.
Just to see the way that area has been recovered, if you will. It might have been considered a lost area before, but it's certainly something that is to be proud of now.
No, it is a learning center for college students to elementary.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the program coming up at Blue Spruce Park, and that is going to be next Friday the 12th. And the time again?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
The lodge.
And we're going to learn all about coyotes.
Yes.
And then all of these other programs, people want to learn about them, they can check your website. I assume you have a Facebook page as well?
Yes, we do.
Because everybody does.
Evergreenconservancy.com.
Evergreenconservancy.com. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
We appreciate it very, very much. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM.